Hello, and thank you for joining us on today's Faculty Friday. We are going to be chatting all about media, film, and communications, a program offered on our Aurelia campus through the Department of Interdisciplinary Studies. So today I am joined by a few special guests. My name is Jordan. I will be the moderator and a co-host. I'm also joined by Patrick Carr, who is an international recruitment officer. And last but not least, our special guest today is Dr. Alice Otter, who is an associate professor in the Interdisciplinary Studies department, as well as she is the coordinator of media, film, and communications. So I will give you a bit of a background of what I do here at Lakehead, and then I'll pass it off to Patrick. Okay. So I actually help oversee Lakehead University's online presence as well as our digital efforts around the world. So I'm running daily live webinars right now, a part of the Lakehead International Live Series. So every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm live here on Zoom, meeting different faculty, staff, departments, students around campus. And every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm doing an Instagram Live over at Lakehead International, and we're meeting current students. So some of those students are on our Thunder Bay campus, some of them are on our Aurelia campus. All of them are from around the world and studying in a variety of programs. So I do encourage you, if you are interested in learning more about what's coming up next and what we're offering right now, we do have a website where it's lakeheadu.ca/international, and you can learn all about some of the support services that we're providing for future international students given the current situation right now. So I will pass it off to Patrick to give a brief introduction as well.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Carr. I am one of the recruitment officers here at Lakehead University. I specifically recruit students and work with students out of the Middle East, Africa, and the Caribbean. So greetings to all the students in those regions that are tuning in today. But I'm here to answer any other questions for all my colleagues around the world. And I'm happy to be here this morning.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today. And last but not least, we'll have Dr. Alice Otter chime in and let us know kind of what she does here at Lakehead and what she's been involved in.
I'm actually an English professor and I teach interdisciplinary studies courses. So I don't teach the media, film, and communications courses per se. However, I do coordinate them. So I'm the one that organizes the types of courses that we offer each year. I assist in assessing the portfolios. I'm the one that would be sending you emails and talking to you about the program as a whole. And any questions you have about the program, I'm happy to address as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We definitely appreciate having you because we know how valuable it is for our future students and our applicants and our prospects to get a chance to meet the faculty that they'll be hearing from when they're on campus. So it's not just hearing from me as much as I am involved in the process of current students and getting to hear about their stories and featuring them on social media. It's more important that they get to meet their faculty and staff that they'll be interacting with on a regular basis within their program. So it's great to have you. I do want to just kind of chat about what we're going to cover today. So we are going to do a program overview, and we'll talk about the structure of media, film, and communications within interdisciplinary studies, pardon me. We'll talk about areas of study, as well as course selections, experiential learning opportunities, and the internships that are built within the program, the student research opportunities and what our students are doing to expand their knowledge through that research. And then we're also going to chat about career outcomes and continuing education. So kind of where students within the program end up and where they also continue their education journey. So things to remember today. If you like what you see, we are recording today's session. So we will be publishing that on our YouTube channel after the fact. So if you have to head out at any point, or if you join us after the fact, obviously you can catch up on the full video on our YouTube channel. And that link will be sent out to our prospects as well as our applicants, pardon me, via email. If you do have any questions throughout today's webinar, which I absolutely encourage you to ask those questions, please submit them via the Q&A chat. If you are joining us live on Facebook right now, you can submit in the comments and we'll be happy to get back to you there. Of course, like I just mentioned, if you're watching this as a recording and you have any questions that arise as we start talking about media, film, and communications, pardon me, or in general about Lakehead, please feel free to comment on that video. And we do have our teams monitoring those videos on a regular basis to answer your questions. Last but not least, of course, we want you to stay connected with us and follow us on our social media channels, where we're posting regular updates about upcoming webinars, future offerings, as well as just giving you a sneak peek about what's going on here at Lakehead and kind of the student experience. So it's really exciting to see some of our social media channels and the groups that are forming within those channels. So for example, on Facebook, we have a group for the incoming class of 2020, and I believe we're at nearly 200 students already for that group, and they're already starting conversations and meeting people within their hometowns and meeting people that are going into their program and joining at the same time. So great conversations happening over there. I did want to chat also about the fact that we are, of course, hosting these webinars from our home. So the three of us are working remotely right now, and we do have Lakehead experts behind the scenes who are working remotely. So if you do hear any odd sounds that aren't a typical office environment, I know a few of us have pets. We have dogs, so they might bark. You also might notice a bit of a delay in some of our video feeds. I do apologize for that beforehand. We are working with the best that we have right now, so if there are any issues, please let us know either in the chat box, or you can also submit questions to us. Otherwise, I will start by kind of just chatting about the program interview and maybe a program overview, pardon me, and I'll pass it off to Dr. Otter to chat about the structure of the program and how it's built into interdisciplinary studies.
Do you have any slides about the program?
So the photo reel here is actually just it's a Lakehead University slide reel. The structure of the program, I was just wondering if you could touch on kind of how the Department of Interdisciplinary Studies works, and then also how we have several different course offerings within there.
Okay, sounds good. I could share my screen if you wanted me to.
Let's give that a go. If you're comfortable with that, I'll see if I can make you a co-host and have you share your screen.
I actually don't know if I have just one screen for that though.
If you prefer just speak on with the slides, and that's okay too.
Yeah. No, I'll just talk. So the program, I see that there is one question there. Do you have specific English requirements? And no, we don't. So in our first year, you'd be taking 5 full course equivalents from September to April. Of those 5, there will be 2 courses in the fall term and 2 courses in the winter term that you'll be taking that will be media studies related. So the first one will be Introduction to Media, Film, and Communications, and that one is kind of an overview. What do we do with media? How does it connect with communications industry, with technology, with analysis of society, etc. So it's really a very broad overview to the entire program. And as well, you'll be doing an introduction to production of film and media. And that one's very broad ranging. It does have courses that, it does talk about a variety of media formats. And I'm sorry, I can't share the screen right now. I know I wanted to, but I don't see the option for that. No, it's been disabled. So I just have to talk. I'm sorry. I'd be happy to send more information to anybody who wants it. Just send me an email and I'll happily send you more specific information. But just to tell you that the second course you'd be doing in the first term would be a production course. In the winter term, you'd be doing analysis of visual media. So you're looking at everything from websites to films, to news presentations, to advertising, and so on. And you're really analyzing that media in terms of various social issues relating to possibly race, gender, ethnicities, sexual orientation, etc. And as well, you'll be doing one course that is focused on visual art or digital media, so digital imaging. And that course comes usually from a visual art or a general science program focusing on, things like photography or just simply digital media in general. So that's just your first year. The other courses you're taking will be interdisciplinary. So you might take a course in English if you really want to, if you want to upgrade your writing skills, for example. You don't have to. You could take a course, let's say, in psychology, sociology, history. If you want to take biology, that's up to you. Like the range is really very, very wide. And as well, you'll be taking a half course in first year in interdisciplinary studies. And that course could be focused on one of 4 topics: social justice, human nature, environment in politics and culture, or international conflict and human rights. And that course is set up in an inquiry-based way. So you're dealing with various case studies and you're working in groups to a large extent, unless it's offered online. And you're exploring these topics from multiple directions. So you're not just looking at climate change, for example, from a chemistry perspective. You're looking at it from sociological, economic, political, psychological, biological, all of those aspects as they come into play.
Awesome.
That's your first year. After that, in second year, you're going to be taking media studies courses. Again, some that are focused on media analysis and some focused on media production. You'll be doing a research methods course. You'll be doing a theory course. By third year, there are very specific courses that are directed to particular topics. So you might have a course, we're offering one on comics this summer. You could have a course on advanced cinematography. You could have a course on analyzing sexuality in media. So the topics are really quite wide ranging. And then as you get into into the fourth year courses, you're looking at really specific topics. So you might look at representations of a particular concept, or you might, like, for example, environmental issues and their connection with media and how media represents that and has an impact on that representation and on social change. Or you might have like we had a documentary film production course this past year. So that's basically the overview of the whole program. There is still another interdisciplinary studies course at the third year level that you do that's more advanced than the first year one. It's again focused on those 4 areas of social justice, human nature, international conflict and human rights, and environment in politics and culture. And then by 4th year, you're doing your own project, your own thesis. It's kind of thesis research. You might want to create a film for that. You might want to create a video, a music video. I really don't know. The range is very large.
For sure, yeah, and that kind of speaks to how studying media, film, and communications within the interdisciplinary studies lends well to students who are also interested in different passions and different projects, because they can take those courses based on what their interests are. So like you were saying, you could be interested in media, film, and communications, which has the aspect of studying that very social and psychological side of digital media and social media. But then you also might just have a side passion for criminology or biology, and you can take those courses to expand your own knowledge just for personal preference, or it could also tie into maybe your future career goals. So if you have a passion for criminology and you were also taking media, film, and communications, that could tie really well into the fact that maybe your passion at the end of the day is to create crime-focused documentaries. I know that sounds very broad scale, but having that background knowledge and having the ability to study from a variety of fields is really important too. And I see that we have a few questions open that Patrick is going to answer. They're not directly related to media, film, and communications, but as we've said before, these live webinars are meant to be an open period for Q&As. So any questions we're happy to answer them. So I'll pass it off to Patrick now.
So I just want to say I'm really interested in the comic book class that's being offered this summer. But anyways, on to the questions. So a couple of questions just related to the current global pandemic and COVID-19. The first is, can I expect the fall programs to be started as per schedule, or would there be a delay? And the answer to that right now is the fall semester will start in some capacity. No decisions have been made whether that is in-person classes or online classes yet. The university senior management team does meet every week, and they do evaluate the situation. And we have updates coming out all the time. So I would advise you to visit our coronavirus webpage, which is lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus. And it really is the place where all of the most up-to-date information comes. As you are, a student that's excited to start your fall program, classes will be offered in some capacity, and we're just hoping, we're just waiting at this time to evaluate the situation and make sure that we make the decision that's in everyone's best interest. And then another question is similar, about having a conditional offer and needing to submit proof of their degrees for a graduate studies program. I would advise you to reach out to the Faculty of Graduate Studies directly. And we also do a weekly webinar on Wednesdays with our graduate admissions teams. So if you have time, it's at the same time as this webinar, which is 10 to 11 Eastern Standard Time, or Ontario time, as Jordan often says. And you can stop by and ask this kind of question directly to our graduate admissions officers, or you can reach out to them at gstudent@lakeheadu.ca. And we're working with all of our applicants right now to facilitate the best possible situation. And we know that it's a complicated, there are complex and complicated situations globally, and we want to help our students achieve their academic goals heading into the fall. So reach out to us directly on that one. Jordan, I'll pass it back to you. There's a few more questions, but I think maybe we should move on in the presentation for now.
Awesome. So I will actually answer one of the questions here that is related to just the general situation as well. In case of a deferment, does the university charge any amount? So to answer that more specifically, the university is exploring options. We have already extended the offer to students that had intended on starting the program for their spring, summer. We have already offered those deferments to the fall term, which is really great news, and that's at no cost to our students. If students are looking to defer their offers, there are methods in place, and there's already procedures in place that allow you to do that. But there are certain criteria that you must meet. For example, you must still meet your admission requirements or your conditions on time and at the required deadline. You must make your confirmation deposit on time as well, and that holds your seat within the program. But we've also made reassurances that if you do make your confirmation deposit and you do confirm your seat in the program, and for any reason related to COVID-19, whether you're not able to reach Canada or begin your program on time, we will work with you on an individual basis to then either move that admission to a different intake date or explore other options. So your money is not going to just disappear because you weren't able to make it due to the current situation. We already have procedures and plans in place to make sure that you're covered as a student making those payments. But like Patrick said, I do want to toss it back to the topic at hand, media, film, and communications. And we're going to talk about degree options. So I know that there's a few different options. You can do your honors Bachelor of Arts and Science and get the Media, Film, and Communications major. You can do your Bachelor of Arts and Science and do your Media Studies major, and then you can also do a minor in Media Studies. So maybe I'll have Alice chat about the difference between those three options: the honors, the bachelor's, and the minor.
Okay, thanks. And I just want to just say one other thing about the coronavirus. The discussions right now are basically whether we should be online in the fall or whether we're in person. It's not whether we should be canceling classes or anything like that. Something like there will be classes in the fall.
That's a really good point.
And even if you can't come to Canada in the fall, you might still be able to start the program and take 5 online courses. So even if you can't take, you know, the required course, let's say in production, although we're even trying to talk about how to make that online, believe it or not, we really are working hard on this. But even let's say you couldn't take one of those courses that's required, you could take other ones and fulfill some electives for, let's say, your second year. And then in your second year, you could backfill and come back and do the odd course that's in person that you couldn't do in your first year. So there are flexible options here. And I really strongly encourage you to talk to me, for one thing, if you're interested in our program, about those flexibilities. And we'll work with you as best as we possibly can. So that's the first thing I want to say. Secondly, in terms about the different programs. So the honors bachelor in media, film, and communications, that one involves 10 full course equivalents out of the full 20 that you'd be doing for your degree. So in other words, half of the courses in your degree will be in media, film, and communications for your honors. The second option is if you wanted to do an interdisciplinary studies degree. In that case, you would be doing 2 disciplines. And if you chose media, film, and communications as one of those disciplines, you'd be taking 5 full courses out of the 20 in media, film, and communications, and 5 in something else. So let's say you really love history and you're kind of torn and you don't know which one to choose. You can do both. So you could do 5 in media and 5 in history, and those would combine within the interdisciplinary studies program. And then the third option is, let's say you really like criminology and you want to major in that, or political science or psychology or something else. You can do a minor in media, film, and communications, and that involves only 3 full course equivalents. 1 at first year, 1 at second or third, and 1 at third or fourth year. So there's a nice spectrum here.
Awesome, thank you so much. So while we're on the topic, obviously, now I'd love to kind of go into the areas of study. So I know that you have already touched on the video, the new media design, TV, radio, and sound art. But could you kind of highlight some of those topics in maybe a broader scale?
Do you mean as in courses that people take?
Yeah, and then courses, and then we'll talk about course selection, some of the industry relevant courses or the really popular ones within the program, but those different areas of study and how they're worked into the program. So
the area that we've really worked on most fully is video production. We've had several well-renowned award-winning filmmakers teach in the program. So we've had courses in video production at second year level, intermediate production at third year level, and also documentary film, and there was another, just I think a general film course, production course at the fourth year level. So that's really been the angle that we've spent most time on. We do have courses, however, in sound and post-production with respect to that as well. We don't offer them a lot. We haven't offered them anyways in the last couple of years, and I don't think they're planned to be offered this coming year. This coming year, though, we are planning to offer a course on web design, and we're really looking forward to that one because it allows you to pull all these other skills together and create that big picture.
Absolutely, yeah. And that, speaking to that, it's so important that as a artist and somebody who, with today's age of media, having an online portfolio, even with your video projects, is something that's super important. So I'm happy to hear that you're going to be offering a web design course, because I'm sure students will love to start building their online portfolio, so that after the educational journey and they're looking for careers, having an accessible and visually pleasing portfolio online of all their projects that they've been involved in, all of their works of art, is really great to hear. I did have a question from a student. What sort of projects do film and media students work on at Lakehead, in your experience?
So a lot of students are working on projects that really mean a lot to them personally, especially in their fourth year. And it really depends on what things that they're involved in socially are. And I've seen one film that was connected to stopping this huge festival that was bothering people in the neighborhoods. In Inner Aurelia, there's a particular location where they show regular concerts, and while it's lovely for people attending the concert, everybody who lives in the vicinity of that concert wasn't so happy a couple of years ago. And so one of our students talked to these people, actually interviewed them and filmed the two sides of the debate, why it was beneficial to the community to have this huge concert in the region and why it was not. And so it's a really very interesting film. And the people who were living in the area, the ones who didn't like it, they were like, well, it's so much noise. People drop things on their way. The traffic is absolutely insane. And then you'd have the other people saying, but wait a minute, this is just a couple of weekends a year. Go away if you don't like it. It's fantastic for the economy of the region. We need music. We need to have cultural events in the region. It's good for tourism, etc. So, but that student actually filmed the two sides of the debate and did a fantastic job capturing the moment and the passion behind that situation. I've also seen students, I know there's one right now who's working on advocacy for individuals who might not necessarily have all of the disability barriers taken away in a particular situation, and she again was interviewing people, and I think she herself was somebody with a disability, and she noted how a lot of places, a lot of businesses are not aware enough about the barriers that still exist. And so she filmed the barriers, she talked to the people, and she was actually through the film, she was actually able to get some of these businesses to change some of their practices, and I thought that was a very positive outcome of the project.
For sure, yeah. It's definitely great to hear about the impact that, obviously we talk about the impact of Lakehead University within our community, but something that we don't necessarily specifically address, but I think we always are so encouraged by it, is this passion that we have from our students and the efforts that they're making and kind of the differences that they're encouraging within our community. So the diversity of our students, but also speaking to the projects that they're doing, the research that they're doing, and how the impact does play a role in our community. And they are starting to set up, they're starting to make a difference here, for sure. And not just, they aren't just starting. This has been happening, of course, since the existence of Lakehead. So it's great to hear that within this program specifically, having these students film these interview style, I would call them almost documentaries, about some of their passion projects or something that's so closely held to their heart. And now their businesses are making actionable changes based on their efforts. So this ties in actually quite well to the research that happens within the program, but also potentially the internships in the program. So maybe we'll segue into that topic if that's okay.
Okay, so in terms of research, we do have a faculty member who has a SHIRT grant, which basically gives her money to hire researchers. And the lovely thing about being at a small university like we have is that our undergraduate students actually are given opportunities to do research and work with a professor directly. So Dr. Jeppesen has a large project dealing with social justice and media, and she often hires one or two undergraduate students to work with her every year. So it's a fantastic opportunity.
For sure, and that also speaks to the fact that we've been recognized by leading institutions that we are the #1 undergraduate research university in Canada. And that connects to the fact that I believe it's something along the lines of 26% of all of our undergraduate students are involved in significant research projects throughout their undergrad. And I know that senior management here at Lakehead has doubled down and said that we are committing to that and we want to expand the number. We want even more of our undergraduate students making significant research opportunities and providing them with those research opportunities, because you do typically see those efforts being focused at the graduate levels at larger schools, because there's almost a bit of more freedom in there where that student will approve their thesis topic or their research topic. And then their structure, their program is naturally already set up to let them lead on from there and do their research. Whereas on the undergraduate side, it's working more closely with our professors, and the fact that we're a small university and we have smaller classes, the professor has more opportunity to guide that research and assist. And like you said, with the SHIRT grant and having the ability to actually hire and pay students for some of that research is really great to hear too. And could you also touch on the internships that are offered through Rogers Media, as well as some of the local community organizations in Aurelia?
For sure. Every student in our program has the opportunity to do 2 internships, and each one is for basically 12 weeks, 5 hours a week, and you work with a particular organization. So we're right now about 10 organizations that we're connected with who are quite eager to have students working with them. One of them is Rogers Division. We usually send at least 2 students to them each term. And those students are mentored. So you'd work for them, you don't get paid, but you do get a credit into our program. So it gives fantastic experience. And you're doing all kinds of things behind the scene. You might be doing things with respect to the website. You might be doing a presentation at some point. You might be doing editing. I really don't know what's involved. It really depends on the actual location. We've got one student right now working with the food bank in Aurelia, and she is helping them create their website and put out requests for funding, put out background information about the programs that they offer, and so on. So the internships usually do partake in some kind of social justice endeavors. That's usually what we've seen so far anyway.
For sure, yeah. And I'm sure also with the internships, based on where you're placed or where you end up with an internship, you also have the ability to expand on your own passions and your own skill set. So if you are interested in specific internships, based on the fact that it's been set out quite clear that that's going to be focused on maybe the radio aspect or maybe the social media aspect, if that's something that you're particularly interested in, then that's when you can connect directly with those opportunities. And obviously we're here to support you through that process and make sure that it does align with the course requirements. And of course, you're still getting that credit. It's so cool to be able to start getting that invaluable work experience in the field while also still gaining your education at the same time and getting that degree, because employers at the end of the day, they want to see that degree and they want to see that you have the background knowledge, but also to speak to the experience. Now you have these internship opportunities, which are just great to hear.
We've had a couple of students actually end up getting full-time employment after the program
Awesome.
at the place where they did their internship. So that's fantastic.
For sure, yeah. So we have a really great question. Can students from other departments attend some of the media, film and communication classes if they are interested?
Absolutely, and that's what we see a lot of. In fact, I'd say about 3/4 of the students in our media, film, and communications classes are from students in other programs. So they might be in business, they might be in social work or psychology or sociology, and they're taking media, film, and communications courses as elective. Remember that in any program you're in, and it doesn't matter what program that is, in any program you're in, half of the courses that you're taking are required by the program. Usually the other half are electives, unless you're in engineering, in which case you don't have a lot of electives. But most of the social science and humanities programs all allow you to fulfill a lot of electives. And so I'd actually encourage you to take a media and communications minor along with whatever major you're doing.
For sure, yeah, and I can speak to kind of echoing what you said. Based on your program, of course, there are specific programs that are very structured in the sense that you must complete several required courses, whereas I took business here at Lakehead and I did the 4-year honors program. And I had the ability to do elective courses all the way from first year through to my 4th year. I did choose to minor in a secondary business program. So I have my major is marketing and my minor is human resources and industrial relations. But I absolutely could have chose to minor in media, film, and communication. I could have minored in criminology. There's so many different options within and the flexibility. And that also speaks to kind of the structure of Canadian institutions and how we are kind of being flexible to our students' passions and what their interests are so that they're the most successful in their degree and they're also gaining that valuable experience and expanding their knowledge too.
So I'd like to, well.
Sorry,
we do have, if I may for a second,
yeah.
You do have the opportunity to switch programs too. So we often see students starting off, I really, really, really want to do a psychology degree. And then they take several electives. And in their second year, they look back and say, yeah, but I really, really liked my media, film, and communications courses. Can I switch into that program? And yes, it's absolutely no problem. You don't lose anything because the things that you used to have as your major now become your electives and vice versa.
Awesome. So I just want to be mindful of the time. So we're at 10:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or as I like to say, Thunder Bay or Ontario time. So we do have about 10 more minutes on here live with Alice. So if you do have any more questions, please submit those now. I would also like to take this opportunity to pass over to Patrick, and he's going to answer some of those questions that we've been receiving in general.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go through some of the questions in our Q&A queue in kind of rapid fire mode here. So one of the questions we've got is about a special English class for Masters of Engineering students. We do have English language requirements. You can see those on our website, and you do have to meet our English language requirements for any academic program, undergraduate or master's. If you have an offer of admission, it'll tell you if you've met the English language requirement condition or not. And if you have any questions about that, I would encourage you to email either the undergraduate or graduate admissions team, and they can elaborate on if you've met that condition. If you haven't met that condition, you have to either provide an English language test, such as an IELTS or a TOEFL or a DET, a Duolingo English test, which segues into another question I'll answer in a moment. But or you have to take our English language program here at Lakehead University. Someone did ask if we do take the DET, the Duolingo English test, and right now we are accepting the Duolingo English test, and you can actually see our requirements for the DET online on our English language requirements page.
I'll jump in here and I have it pulled up already. So
awesome.
The requirements as a general minimum score is at least a 110 to meet those minimum requirements for undergraduate programs. For some of our more specific programs, such as nursing or the 2 years Bachelor of Education, we do have higher requirements of at least 120 as a score as the outcome to that. But if you are interested in learning more, connecting with our admissions team, I do encourage you to send us an email, and we'd be happy to connect you. So our email is welcome@lakeheadu.ca, and I will put that in the chat right now. So those of you joining us on Zoom, I will put our general email in the chat right now.
Great. And so another question just came in, and it's, is the degree internationally accredited, and is it mandatory to live on campus in the first year? So I'm going to talk about, that's really two questions. So I'll talk about the accreditation of the university first. Lakehead University is a publicly funded university, which means we are accredited in Canada, and it meets a really high standard of education. And that's one of the things Canadian education is known for, is being a very high quality education. And is it mandatory to live on campus? The answer is no, we don't make you live on campus. However, we strongly advise for first-year students to consider living on campus because residence is affordable, it's safe, it comes with it's an inclusive price, and it's very convenient. And we actually have a great webinar out right now, or it's on our YouTube channel, where Jordan sat down with our residence life team, so you can learn all of that residence information. And that was Monday, right, Jordan? We sat down with them?
Yeah, so we had great conversations. We had two of our Res Life staff from Thunder Bay, as well as the manager of resident services in Aurelia. And we all joined up on a live webinar, and we discussed residence for an hour. We answered questions from students. But most importantly, we talked about the options, the benefits, the pricing, meal plans, all that sort of stuff. And the webinar is already on our YouTube channel. So if you visit Lakehead University's main YouTube channel, there's a playlist called Lakehead International Lives, and it's right there for you, accessible now. Of course, I'll once again reiterate, if you do have specific questions about residence after watching that video, or you're just looking for very detailed answers, we're here to support you through that process, and we're here to answer those questions. So please reach out to us and connect with us. Otherwise, I'll pass it back to Patrick for.
Yeah, so, and just two more questions kind of related to the current global pandemic and online classes and travel to Canada. And unfortunately, there's a lot of unknowns right now in the world. So at Lakehead University, we are planning to go ahead with our fall semester, whether that be in person or online classes. And we're encouraging applicants to continue to process their applications as they normally would. So accepting their offers, planning their residence. The only thing we're saying is maybe don't book flights to Canada right now, just because we're not sure if we're going to be in person or online. And so one of the questions is if they're not able to come to Canada due to travel restrictions, will there be online classes available? And the short answer, unfortunately, is we're not 100% sure yet. So there could be a situation where we move ahead with in-person classes, but there still might be some travel restrictions. It's impossible to predict that. If that's the case, we're going to work with our applicants to make sure that there's no penalty to them. And I would encourage you to reach out to us if you find yourself in that situation, whether it's the welcome@lakeheadu.ca email or either of the admissions officer emails. Please reach out to us because we're committed to working with all of our applicants on a one-on-one basis and to support them. And the second question kind of related to this is, if a student starts taking online courses, will they be eligible for the 3-year postgraduate work permit? The answer to that question is it's really complicated. The situation around postgraduate work permits is there are a number of criteria, and we aren't planning on moving everything online forever, even if we start in the fall with an online program. So we're hopeful that students will be able to start classes in the fall in person, or eventually we will start back in person once the global health crisis has ended. So in terms of a postgraduate work permit, I think it's really important to just stay tuned to not only Lakehead University's coronavirus information page at lakeheadu.ca/about/coronavirus, but also taking a look at the Canadian government regulations, because ultimately they are in control of those kinds of regulations. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I have in the queue for my answers, Jordan. So I'll pass it
Sure,
back to you.
yeah. So there's a couple more questions that I have those answers for, and then we'll do the wrap up to media, film, and communications here. So a student said that they have applied for graduate studies and Masters of Computer Science, and they would like to know when they can expect to hear an offer back from Graduate Studies and the Department of Computer Science. So this question has been posed quite regularly on our live webinars, and we did connect with the Department of Computer Science, and right now they do have applications from a large applicant pool already. And what they've committed to is having all offers or all applicants responded to by the end of May, beginning of June. What I can speak to that though is that they are very particular in what they require for the application. So if you haven't completed your computer science form, which is your information form, they will not review your application. So if you do have any questions whether or not our admissions team is still looking for documents to do with your application, you can connect with us directly. For the graduate level, the email is gstudent@lakeheadu.ca, and that goes right to our Faculty of Graduate Studies, and they'd be happy to answer that question. And my second question and final question is with regards to portfolio and document submission and whether that can be done online. As Patrick has mentioned, and I'll just echo something that he said, is the fact that our admissions team, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, are committed to working with our applicants on an individual basis based on kind of where they are at in that application process. So if you do need to submit documents, please connect with us directly and we can look into your application to see what the next steps look like, because as you can appreciate, the current situation may not lend well to submitting official documents immediately, but there's also flexibility within some of those deadlines to submit those documents. So again, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to connect you with our admissions teams. So for the last few minutes, I will pass it back to Alice and Otter, and maybe I'll just kind of cap it off now that we've gone through the program offerings, course selection, areas of study, the internships. Can you speak to maybe a bit about the career outcomes? And then that will cap the presentation off quite perfectly.
Okay, I'll talk about that in a second. I just want to add one thing. The media, film, and communications portfolio, which is required as the application to the program, gets sent directly to me. So I did just type in my email address in response to the question about the portfolio. So send that directly to me. And if it's too large for an email, just send me a link to a Google Drive.
Awesome.
So in terms of what you can do with your degree, I would suggest that every single corporation, every single business has a need for someone to work on their media at this point. Facebook pages, Instagram, any of that kind of thing, newsletters, you name it. People, like businesses, are needing people who are well-versed in various types of media production. And so we found on the whole that our graduates are getting employment very, very quickly, because this is a field that is growing as our mass communications are growing as well.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely great to hear. And to kind of cap off the presentation, what I'll do is I'll remind our viewers right now sort of how to stay connected with us and also how to learn more about Lakehead and get those regular updates like I had mentioned. So if you do want to follow us on our social media channels, we have a Facebook, Lakehead University International. On that Facebook page, like I had mentioned before, we do have a group for the incoming class of 2020. So we have almost 200 students already on there having great conversations about meeting students in their future program, meeting students that are already actually in their hometown right now where they are. You have the potential to meet friends based on hobbies and general interests, but also potentially meeting roommates that could be looking to get housing together, putting in that roommate application together for on-campus residence. If you do want to follow us on Instagram, we're Lakehead International. As I was saying, we do Instagram Lives every Tuesday and Thursday with a current student. The next one we have is on this upcoming Tuesday in a few days here, and it's going to be with a Thunder Bay campus student who studied kinesiology, and she's from Malaysia. Her name is Aliyah. So she'll be joining us for an hour to chat about her experience on campus. She actually just wrapped up her kinesiology degree, and it's really exciting to that I got to work with her in her last year and kind of get to know her. And now she'll be joining me to cap off her degree and her exams and assignments to really celebrate everything she's accomplished with us. We do have a Twitter, Lakehead INTL, where we post updates for webinars, for example, and how to register for those. Last but not least, we have a YouTube channel. So Lakehead University's main YouTube channel, we have 2 dedicated playlists for international students, Lakehead International Lives, as well as just Lakehead International. So the Lives portion is for all of the pre-recorded webinars where you can join us and learn about different offerings. And then the main Lakehead International playlist is an opportunity for you to hear from our current students. So testimonials, general videos about Lakehead just helps you explore and kind of feel more connected and learn more. We also acknowledge that getting to know campus before you come and getting to know what the facilities and the surrounding environments are like, taking a virtual campus tour is really important. And the best part is that you get to do it from the comfort of your own home. So whether you want to pull out your laptop on your couch, whether you want to lay in bed and take a virtual tour, all you have to do is visit lakeheadu.ca/tours. And you can explore both of our campuses. And like I was saying, you can explore inside the buildings, you get to explore the pathways around campus and the beautiful nature that we're surrounded by. Otherwise, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Alice Donato for joining us today and providing so much valuable input about the program, and also offering to connect with students that are interested in the program or who have already applied. And she can answer so many questions, and she's a great powerhouse of knowledge for the program for sure. And thank you for Patrick for joining me and supporting me through so many of these. We definitely have many more coming up, so I would like to encourage students to also stay tuned for more. Otherwise, I'll end it here and thank everyone for joining us again.